All right, this is Dr. Brady here again with another episode of the Drilled with Dr. Brady podcast. We are here with Steveo.
Yeah, dude.
In the flesh. I cannot believe that we got you here. This is so fantastic. Thank you so much, first of all, for being here.
The circumstances are wonderful, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it. So thank you for having me.
Of course. And we're going to get into exactly what circumstances have landed Steveo with this dentist in Camas, Washington. But this goes, we have a mutual acquaintance.
Right.
And his name is Stevie, and we just did a bunch of free stuff with him today.
Correct. The circumstances which brought me here are that we have collaborated to gift one of my fans $50,000 worth of free dental attention. Yeah. More specifically, a complete mouth makeover, restoration, full implants, the whole mouth full of money.
Yeah, so we went, and he's given me full permission to share everything about his treatment. So we listen. He had been having some issues for a long time. Didn't have much back teeth to chew on.
Much. He didn't have shit in the back.
No, he
didn't. Is there okay to swear on your podcast?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay. I don't mean to sometimes.
Absolutely. So yeah, he had been hitting me up for a while on Twitter, and then you made it.
Apparently, he was hitting up like every dentist in the nation.
Yes.
A persistent
I was not the only one, that's for sure. But you made a video of your own problems with your teeth.
Right. This is, it was more of a video about insecurities because, candidly, while I have in my life broken many teeth, for all of the different, sets of teeth, I call them sets of teeth, but, for all of the crowns and veneers that I've been through, a lot of it, the vast majority was purely for aesthetic purposes. I have, always, I guess, but I started out with really, really awful looking teeth and switched to, really obnoxious looking teeth, where, in both cases it was a source of insecurity for me because, they looked terrible, and then all of a sudden there's just these bright white obnoxious things, and with gum problems, all of a sudden I had big, empty spaces in between the teeth, which I got them redone, and then I'm on set number 4. So in any case, I thought, let me go ahead and make a video where I just candidly, because it was truthfully a guarded secret. I thought, oh man, there's going to be someone out there who just notices the subtle differences between these different sets of teeth, and they're going to out me. And nobody turns out nobody pays attention. Nobody notices.
Yeah, it's like when you're in high school and you're worried that you have a zit and you don't want to go to the dance, or you don't want to go to school because you have a zit, but then you realize when you're older, everyone's just worrying about their own zits and no one gives a crap about your zits, right? So
right. Well,
to a certain extent, teeth are like that, I think, where people get really concerned about their own appearance, but most people would look at your teeth and be like, it's fine.
Right.
But you're like, no.
It's inexplicable, and I just couldn't. I was really insecure about it, and then I thought, once I got into this, masochistic habit of weekly uploads on YouTube, always looking for another video, and I just knew that the untold story of Steveo's fake teeth, where I reveal just exactly how deep I've gone with this insecurity, and I just thought it was such an embarrassing thing to do, but it actually was. I think it was pretty freeing for me to just be like, hey, I just came out and said it. I've always been insecure ever since I was a little kid of my real teeth, of every, still to this day, totally insecure about it. And, I just want to let go of it. So I put out this video, and it really ran through this extensive and ridiculous history with dentistry that I've had. And I put it up on YouTube. because I got in trouble with Facebook, I wasn't allowed to post for many weeks. So that left my Facebook page significantly behind.
Yeah.
Like whatever came out on YouTube was way ahead. And so I put this teeth video out on YouTube, and God, it's incredible how to look in the comments section, how many people. So I have these problems too, and I can't afford to do anything about it.
That's actually one thing I want to talk was when I read the comment section of that YouTube video. I don't know if like a lot of people know how common these types of teeth problems are. Super common, and I think your situation obviously like resonated with a lot of your fans.
Sure.
About like, oh, I'm going through the same. I felt like there were thousands of messages like, I'm going through the same thing. Thank you so much for putting this out there. And is that? Do you feel like with the analytics of your own like YouTube videos, was that a video that got a lot of more attention or less attention, or did anything did that surprise you about the comment section?
It was a performer for me just because it's so inherently juicy. It had
vulnerable. I mean, like you really get
vulnerability translates to success for me on YouTube. Anything juicy or scandalous is good, and that was more notably the thumbnail image was a picture of me with all the nubs. What you call it a post? Yeah.
I mean nubs.
You grind the tooth down.
Yeah. I think a nub is
right.
Is that? Yeah, people know what that is. Yeah.
Right. So it did well, and I was struck by the outpouring of there was a lot of support. I thought that it would be. I didn't anticipate as much support. I didn't consider it as uplifting or inspirational as it was received.
Yeah.
It really struck a chord with a lot of people, but above all else, just so many people. That's me, And whether they have situations that are just purely. I mean, there are different categories of teeth problems. There's just people who have perfectly functional teeth, a perfectly healthy mouth. They just don't like the way it looks.
Yeah.
Then there's, but in any case, for all it was just too many requests to do anything about, and so it just kind of made me sad.
Right.
And I suppose it was a few weeks into it, and one guy got through to me in tenacious and he really checked every box. He was creative in finding a way to get through to me where he just wasn't lost in an ocean of comments. It wasn't just so straightforward, and so he was creative. He was heartfelt. He was articulate. He communicated to me that his situation was medically urgent. That he was I could just sense his despair, and he said he works in a shelter for rescue dogs. Everything about it really struck the chord with me, and so I said, I want to try to help this guy. That was another thing he said is, I'm not asking for any money. I don't want anything. I'm just like, maybe you can help me find someone who can help me.
Yeah.
Which was so much. I mean, how do you not work with that? So knowing that my Facebook page was so many weeks behind my YouTube page, I knew that I was gonna put this teeth video up on Facebook, and so I decided to do a revised version where I added in some footage about this guy Stevie's story, and I put in there a promise. I said to any dentists out there who are willing to help Stevie, I will, personally, give you
promote your
business,
or,
promote your practice, and and so enter you. And it's interesting too because you had left a comment under the teeth video on the YouTube.
I did.
And I remembered that as well.
I was shocked you responded to as soon as you dropped the YouTube video. I was like, man, like you've entertained something along the lines of like you've entertained me my entire life. It would be an honor to help you out in any way I possibly could. which is true.
Right. And I remember you were saying something about we can do a implant for you so you don't have to mess with this flipper. I have like a partial denture.
Yeah.
It's called a flipper. And so, I kind of, it works a bit like a retainer.
Yeah.
And
it's like a retainer with some fake teeth attached to it. And actually it looks really good.
It's pretty good.
Can you eat with it? Can you eat with it in?
Pretty. I can't take a bite out of an apple or anything, but
well, we can listen. Deal stands. Man.
You want
me to take some X-rays, dude? We can get some X-rays and check you out, dude.
I can show you. Like, I'm so insecure. I've had gum grafts on the bottom.
Yeah. Okay.
Like over and over, they just don't work. They'll, it goes
gum
away.
Grafts
it goes away.
A lot of the time don't work.
I mean, it'll work for a little bit, but then it just goes away over time.
Right.
And so now I'm at a point where, again, like I need gum grafts so terribly badly in this one spot, but I just can't bring myself to go through the process again because I just know what's going to happen.
It's kind of brutal.
It's a little on the brutal side.
Any kind of gum surgery is
right.
not
But in any case, I put up the Facebook version of the teeth video.
Yeah.
And I forget how you got you got it in communication with Stevie.
Me and Stevie,
he turned me on to you.
Me and Stevie had been talking, and we met on Twitter via there's this philanthropic movement on Twitter which I'm a little skeptical of. It's ran by a guy named Bill Pulte. And you may have heard it, but anyway, he goes around and it's like if you retweet this a billion times, somebody who retweets this is going to get $10,000. And then he does a lot of these like money giveaways via retweets on Twitter. And someone who claimed to be part of his organization contacted me on Stevie's behalf and said, "Hey, would you be willing to help out?" Because we're on Twitter as like this, nonprofit dental group that does like we go to do these nominations to get people some free stuff, right?
Right, and that's separate from your practice. There's the nonprofit
totally
group.
Separate.
Right, okay.
Yeah, totally. So this year I created a nonprofit.
Man, are we going to open up a can of worms talking about the business of dentistry? I can't wait.
There's only a lot of dental professionals who don't like me. So, but I already knew that was going to happen, so it's okay.
Right, but continue. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. So anyway, he got a hold of me through this intermediary, and then he would contact me and said, "Hey, did they get back to you yet?" Because it was so weird because they said like, "Hey, would you be willing to help this guy out?" I said, "Yeah, fly him to me." And that was my initial offer was fly him to me, and I'll take care of it. It's going to take a few times. It's going to take like a 6-month process, but you have to fly him like 3 times over to my place, and I'll take care of it. And then they came back and they said, "No, how much money would you charge?" And I was like, "0. Fly him to me. That's all you got to do." And they're like, "Well, no, we have to have a dollar amount." And I was like, "Geez, okay. This is getting harder and harder." So I gave him $1. I just took my normal fee and said 50% off. There you go. And then nothing ever came of that. And then Stevie would always contact me and say, "Did you ever hear back from them?" And I was like, "No, I don't think they're real, man. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't see this as the way that's going to help you out." And then one day, Stevie gave me a link to your Facebook video, which was the video I had already seen.
Right, but
on
with
YouTube,
the added bit.
But with the added edited footage in of him having a phone call with you.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh man." So I said, "Yeah, confirm for me that Steveo is in to help us promote our nonprofit organization."
I love that you're trying to get me to promote the nonprofit and not your practice. It's there's a lot of integrity.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, our practice does. Listen, dentists don't starve. Dentists do fine. But this is kind of my whole thing now is doing this. I love it. And then I got a phone call from Steveo, and we talked for like 20 minutes about what I was up to and how we're gonna do this. And then you were like, "Dude, I want to be there." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, that's awesome. Whatever, you tell me when and where, and we'll do it." And that was like a month ago. And here you are. And
we had something that brought us to Washington State. It happens 2 days from now. It's a Q&A at a college where they're gonna ask me questions about mental health.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, not a comic gig.
It's my first ever
Dude, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
But hey, it's all good. So it was great we were able to schedule this while I'm here anyway, because it would have been it wouldn't have been nearly as cool if I didn't make it here.
Right. And the kicker was that we kept it from Stevie.
Yeah.
That you were coming. And he's such a fan of yours that it was the hardest secret for me to like tell, not
that was
tell.
A surprisingly tough secret to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And So anyway, he was thrilled. That happened just this morning, and man, he's like over the moon. And then we stuck him with a bunch of needles and pulled all his teeth out.
Right. So yeah, let's run through exactly what happened. There were, I mean, to look in his mouth, it would seem that there just were no teeth in the back, but I'm presuming that the portion of the teeth that are root tips.
Root tips. So he really had no what we call posterior function.
Gotcha.
Which means
that's above the gum.
Yeah, which means you don't have molars, an upper one that articulates with a lower one. He had a few molars sporadically throughout his mouth, but nothing that actually was functional.
Right.
So the dude can't chew gum. I mean, for example, because he has no back teeth. So
nothing that protruded.
Exactly right. So he had he had some molars back there, but very broken down.
And they were cracked.
Couldn't use them for anything. So he had his front 6 teeth looked pretty good.
Right.
When you look at him, you can't tell immediately that he has a problem because his front 6 are pretty decent. But that's not really good enough to get the whole thing to have a functional mouth and smile. And he hates the way his teeth looked anyways. Like he was not happy with his teeth and wanted to just kind of clear cut everything. And so when I talked to him, I said, listen, at this point, the world is your oyster, man. You tell me what you want and I'm going to make it happen for you. And so he wanted a whole full mouth, top to bottom, everything gone. Start with a blank canvas. And now that's what we did today.
Good.
I watched every single tooth come out. Every single shot.
So the ones that had no posterior function, did I get that right?
Yeah.
Is that a more painful extraction because there's nothing to grab onto to get it out? You got to actually dig in to get it out?
Yeah. So a lot of his teeth had like very deep-rooted abscesses, which is just like big like pockets of bacteria and things called granulation tissue.
Okay. What can we do? And when I heard the word bacteria is a real like thing for me because I had it for like I talked about it in that video.
Yeah.
I wish to God that I would have thought to be more direct to people because you saw a lot of comments. Oh, I went to go floss. Like some people can get away with not flossing. They can just get away with it. Some people develop this bacteria, which has this pungent odor.
Yeah.
And the person who has this bacteria with this pungent odor cannot detect that smell themselves. So they walk through life obliviously making everybody in their vicinity want to vomit. And and our societal norm is to not tell somebody if they have this odor. So the person just goes through life just in the most offensive fashion without ever knowing it. And I want to implore people to say, hey, like you really should take a piece of dental floss and run it through your teeth and then smell the dental floss. If it smells like disgusting,
that helps
then that is what people are gonna. I'm like yelling because my tour manager Scott Randolph here. We have a pact that if we ever detect that shit on each other, we have promised each other.
Man.
Yeah, you've got to say something. But nobody will ever tell another person when they have bad breath.
You included that clip of Johnny Knoxville saying like it smelled like an open can of sardines in the sun or something real mean.
It was. And it's crazy, too, because this is how bad the problem is that I feel this strongly about it. But I meet people routinely. I do meet and greets after every one of my shows, and guys will come up, and I'll smell it, and I'll think, oh, I should say it, and I can't. Even with these strong feelings, I still don't. I'm going to promise myself.
That would ruin the meet and greet, I think, man. I think you would ruin it.
I've done it before.
Have you?
I've done it before.
Take him aside and say, bro,
it's
I got to tell you, I'm going to be a friend to you right now.
I'm going to be a friend to you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a friend to you.
I'm going to help you out.
We should have a thing of dental floss at the table.
Get some dental floss swag with like your name on it or something.
Right.
There you go. Sell some Steveo floss.
Scott Randolph loves that.
Scott's nodding his head. He likes that.
Like at the end of the,
Right. It's a thing, man. So anybody listening to this, like go ahead, run some dental floss through your teeth and smell it. And if it doesn't smell bad, you're good. But if it does, then that means that you've got this bacteria and you're better off to actually go and get a professional cleaning because to try to if it's in there and you don't even know about it, that means you've probably got it pretty all over the place. That's like super dangerous to have too, like in the way
it's not doing you any favors for sure. And the thing is, it can go a long time without expressing itself in a painful way.
Right.
So it doesn't hurt you. So
Right.
you don't think that anything's wrong.
It just hurts everyone that
It
smells
hurts
your
everyone,
mouth.
right? And they don't want to say anything because it's like
Right.
it's mean, right? It's rude,
Right.
and then plus you're like probably going to be like, no, I don't. I would smell it if it was that bad. And they're like, no, bro, it's bad.
It's-
and,
right.
and you don't know
Right,
how
that's-
bad it can get.
That's the word. Like there's different types of bad breath, and it seems that none of them are detectable by the person who's perpetrating
Yeah,
it.
and actually, in most dental professionals, we call it perio breath.
Okay.
It's like a thing that we call it, but like perio breath means periodontal disease or
Sure.
periodontal
Right.
periodontitis breath.
Right.
Is a very specific type of bad breath.
Right.
You can tell it's not coming from your garlic or your onions or
Right.
your stomach or your
Right.
esophagus. It's coming
It's
from
very-
it's this bacteria,
It's
that causes.
It's very distinct.
it
Didn't
gets
we
dried
have
out.
this conversation like earlier? We did. We
We've had this
totally had
conversation
this
a lot.
because
Definitely.
like when we were pulling the teeth, I could smell it.
Yeah.
I was over by the camera and I could totally smell
Yes,
the
and
smell.
back
So
to your question.
Stevie had.
He
I
had
mean,
some
it's
issues,
hard to
definitely.
imagine that he did.
Yeah, it's definitely. But what he had also with these deep-rooted abscesses, which are very difficult to numb because they've been festering for so long, and these the bacteria that lives inside metabolizes anesthetic. So when I inject people, the bacteria eats it all up, so your body doesn't get to absorb it. So if you have these big infections, a lot of times you don't go numb. You don't, and so if you don't go numb, it becomes very difficult to pull a tooth out. So he had a few that were a little bit difficult to, not to pull.
Right.
They weren't difficult to pull out. They were just difficult to get 100% anesthesia.
Right. Okay. So
So it took a little bit of time.
So that's why he struggled with it more than the average person. Because it was more painful for him.
Yeah, Steve was super nervous, man.
It
That
was
guy
more-
was.
Yeah, he said he texted me yesterday. He said that he was really nervous.
He's never been on an airplane before.
Oh my god, that's
This
great.
is the first time on an airplane, and then this is what we're doing. This is the destination. It's not a Hawaii
Right.
trip or Mexico. Or, it's like you're coming to this dentist in Camas, Washington.
That's
To get
great.
your teeth ripped out and 12 implants
So
nailed in.
Given how bad his situation was in his mouth, did he have pain? Was it like
He told me he kind of always just lived in pain. And this is super common, man, because people just learn to live with it. I mean, it's kind of, it might blow your mind to know like 20% of emergency rooms in the United States are dental related. The visits are dental related. It's a huge portion.
and
mean, to
then
tell
another
you-
20% is skateboarding.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
I lived with it for a really long time.
and
like,
some-
it just they didn't look super bad, but there was trouble brewing. You've seen it.
Yeah.
Right.
Trouble was brewing, and I had dental pain every day.
Dental pain is the worst, man.
Yeah, but people hate dentists so much that
Right.
they'll go to an ER first. They'll look up remedies on the internet. They'll look up for any
Right.
reason to not go to the dentist. So usually by the time people come to me, I am usually people's last resort. They've tried everything else.
Right.
And they should be trying us first, obviously, but that's just it's scary for people, man. But yeah, Stevie was in pain, he said, kind of chronically. Just kind of
Right.
chronic. So the good thing is that goes away now.
Yeah, and in his initial, letter to me, which I received in that way, he described like despair where like depression and like real issues. I mean, he didn't say anything, but I wondered I think he was basically saying like, it comes to a point where I don't even want to live anymore.
Yeah.
It was dark and it was.
Well,
Yeah, it was heavy.
I got an email from his mother, and his mother emailed me, and man, it was hard to even get through that email because she was just so grateful and
Right.
so happy and she expressed like, I wish that I could have, for years I've wished that I could do this, and she actually told me to tell you thank you.
Okay.
So thank you on behalf of Carol.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like people see their loved ones suffering and you can't do anything because if you can't start with 20 grand,
Right.
you can't, what are you going to do? And for some people, that's just an impossible task.
Sure.
That's just 20 grand.
Well, I
is-
mean, let's face it. For the overwhelming majority of
yeah,
people,
absolutely.
that's
and 50
not
grand,
possible.
I mean, you might as well say 50 million. It
Right.
doesn't make a difference because it's the same It's the same thing for a lot of these people. So
Right. And okay, so I like how we're kind of going through this in a chronological fashion.
Yeah.
We got up to the point of today.
Yeah.
Well, but we didn't. You and I spoke. We agreed that that we would do this, and if you can help everybody understand, like, really the network of different people who came in to donate. You've got the implants coming from one business.
Yeah. So no, I can't do this by myself.
Right.
So I mean, implants are very expensive. Just the individual parts are like $200 to $500 a piece, depending on the brand. And there's lots of different brands. So we got supplied by a company called Implant Direct. I called them up, told them what I'm doing, and they said, whenever you do a free case, let us know, and we'll donate the implants. So they donated Stevie's implants, 12 of them. Didn't pay a dime for those.
So now 12 implants representing how many teeth?
All 28.
All 28.
So we're gonna replace.
So you even his front 6, top and bottom, you pulled them out too?
Everything.
Oh wow!
Yeah. He's.
I didn't even realize that we were.
You know that?
It was so intense. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I got the bird's eye view of everything. It was. So
Yeah.
intense.
So listen, he didn't like his front teeth. He hated them, and the idea is there were options that I discussed with him about keeping them in his mouth, but honestly, 6 front teeth, if that's all you have, isn't enough to function on permanently.
Well, right.
So the idea is we could do some kind of apparatus where you kind of replace just the back ones on like a couple implants, but it's not actually much more difficult or even invasive to just remove the rest and start with a blank canvas. Now I can paint whatever picture I want. Now we can design and actually create the smile that he's always wanted. So.
Okay, and
we're going to work with, there's a local company here called Evergreen Denture Center. So Washington is one of, I think, 8 or maybe 9 states in the United States that allows for a profession called a denturist. A denturist is not a dentist. They only do dentures. But in every other state in the United States, a denture has to be made under the license of a dentist. But Washington State's it's different. So you have the denturists that exist. And
how many states allow for
like 8 or 9.
Okay.
And it's like Montana, Idaho, Oregon. It's all up in the Pacific Northwest.
Is that because things go wrong when people without dentistry licenses do dentures?
I don't know, but I think dentures are not like invasive. They're totally like if a denture doesn't fit, you just have to take it out. No big deal. Like I'm not like drilling into anything. I'm not making any permanent marks in your teeth. So I love working with these denturists. I think it's a big blessing for me because they're so good at what they do, and dentures are actually very difficult to work with. They're very difficult.
Donald Trump, they've proven to be a little bit difficult.
You think he has dentures?
When he said the United States, right? Wasn't that like?
Well, Rudy Giuliani definitely has dentures, and I've seen those babies move.
I don't know. I'm surprised
you should mention that because I always try to zero in on that dude's teeth and be like, "What's going on there?" Because something's going on.
I mean, are you familiar with the time when he said, "God bless the United States"? Like he couldn't pronounce.
No, now I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, dude, you gotta see it.
I gotta see that.
I feel like Brady stares at most people's teeth when he's
I
talking.
do. That's
true.
true.
He's like just sitting there judging.
Right.
I can't help it.
I mean, it's so funny, right? I just had to throw that in there. But okay, before we go did Stevie have certain ways that he couldn't chew anything? I'm guessing so.
Super limited.
Would he put kind of types of food in a blender or anything like that? Or
I think he could mash things up pretty good with his front teeth. He learned. People learn. My dad tells me these stories of his grandfather, so my great grandfather, who I never knew, who would eat apples. He'd take his dentures out and just mash his gums into an apple. Just mash it. If you just shove it up in there, it's gonna break.
Apples are tough for me. I put them in sideways and I go after it with the back my back
I used
teeth.
to do that too, where I could mess my front teeth up because they were in some kind of fragile state.
Right.
So I would always like side mouth.
So people evolve. In my experience, people evolve to whatever they want. If they want to eat apple, they're gonna eat it. They're gonna figure out a way to do it. So people are just, they'll just figure that out, man.
Okay, so we covered the implant people.
Yeah, and the denture people are super helpful too. So Stevie left today with a temporary set of dentures,
Right.
which are very traditional dentures. I call them like your grandma and grandpa's dentures. They're just he'll use some glue. They go over the top of everything. So now he's got all his teeth pulled out. He's got implants all in, and the denture center, Evergreen Denture Center. I think they're on Instagram now. They just got an Instagram, but they helped us out. I've been working with them for years, and they're a set of brothers who are awesome.
And it's pretty impressive to me that they were able to fit Stevie 4 dentures prior to his teeth being extracted.
Yeah.
So are they just kind of eyeballing it? Like, what did they do? Like a mold of his mouth, and then just kind of like, work on the gum line.
That's exactly what they do. And so they take a Dremel tool,
and then they just drill off the teeth to the gum line.
Because when you pull out enough teeth, you kind of know what an extraction site looks like, and you can eyeball roughly where the gums are going to land. You can't know exactly.
Right.
So it requires later on he'll get what's called a soft reline. They put this gooey material, and then they shove it up in the denture and shove it in your mouth, and then it kind of solidifies up and makes it all comfortable again. So he'll go through some of those types of things in the next 4 to 6 months.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, and then. Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to think. But that's for dentures. In the next 4 to 6 months, he's going to have the implants.
But what will happen is that the denture that he's wearing now could cause some sore spots.
Okay.
And then his gums are going to shrink up a little bit now that we pulled all his teeth out. And then his dentures won't really fit as snug or as intimately. And so it'll probably result in us having to do a little temporary reline material.
Got it.
Just to get him through the 4 months even.
Got it.
Makes
sense?
So, and then Evergreen Denture Center, those guys contacted another lab out of Arizona whose name is escaping me right now, but they're the ones who are going to make what's called a zirconia bridge, which is going to be screw retained, meaning we're going to screw this thing in. It's going to be one piece up top, one piece on the bottom. We're going to screw. There's going to be 6 different holes in this bridge that have little screws that we're going to screw into the implants.
He's got, now for people who don't understand, the implant itself, people think of an implant, they think of a tooth, but really what it is a piece of hardware.
It's a screw.
It's like a cylindrical.
Looks like a screw.
Right. It's cylindrical,
Absolutely.
kind of female, post.
Like a rivet mount.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's got 6 of these on top and 6 on bottom.
Yeah, we actually only did 5 on the bottom. We had some issues with space, and I thought we were going to have some issues with space. So we did 6 on top, 5 on bottom.
Okay.
And that'll work out just perfectly for us.
Alright.
So now it's just like the cookies are in the oven, man. You just got to wait. You just set the oven, and you just ignore it now.
Okay, the value of the denture piece of the puzzle. What's that donation-wise coming from the
Just the denture?
The denture is the whole process with the mold, and then
with the zirconia bridge work that we're doing, that's probably
well,
25.
right, but the zirconia bridge is the implant.
It's a whole separate lab that's doing that.
Right, so that's implant. There's different pieces. There's the implants, which is the posts that actually go in surgically.
Yes.
And then there's the bridge, which is the permanent thing, which is going to get screwed onto the implants.
Yep.
Which is the zirconia.
Yeah.
And then there's the dentures.
Dude, you could be a dentist, man. You got this.
And then there's the dentures, which are the temporary bit.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's pretty amazing that just the screws that go in surgically, these are not what are ultimately going to be his permanent fake teeth that get screwed onto it. They're just the hardware.
Yeah.
Like screws.
Yeah.
And they cost that much.
Yeah, I think most dental offices, especially if you're coming from the LA area, you're going to be looking at least $2,000 a screw.
Oh my God!
So at least that. But my full price is $1,200. That's what I charge, and my markup on that we talked about this a little bit in our little pre-chat, but my markup on that, it cost me $175 to buy an implant.
Unbelievable.
And then I charge, and then there's another part also that I include in the cost, and that part cost me like $112. So I'm into it $300, and I charge $1,200, and I feel really, really good about that. I actually feel bad trying to charge much more because I'm like, it's already 4 times what I
Right.
pay for. That's a really good margin. Now, dentists, to their defense, have a lot of big expenses. The staff costs a lot of money. The equipment costs a lot of money. All our supplies cost a lot of money.
Well, not to mention all the years of work and school and tuition.
Add that in, yeah. So it costs. I mean, dental schools just continue to raise prices because there's a never-ending line out the door of kids who are willing to pay that to be a dentist.
This is why I got a vasectomy.
Did you?
Well, because
I did too.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Great.
like a year ago.
But you had a kid first.
I have 4.
You have 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did it out of necessity.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're done.
It's great, isn't it great to be able to hump and dump all the time?
Yeah, exactly right. I was just gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
It just shocks me because Brady hates babies so much.
Well, only until they're about 6 months. Then I like them a lot more.
Right. Okay. So the screws for Stevie came to, you said, about 12,000. Like in retail value.
Oh,
like
retail value? No, I think if he went to a dentist in his area, it's going to cost him $1,500 to $2,000 an implant. So probably in the ballpark of $18,000 to $24,000.
Just for the screws.
Just for the screws.
Okay. The dentures.
The temporary dentures that we're using are probably $1,500.
Okay.
Maybe $2,000.
Okay. And then the zirconia bridge.
Yeah, that's gonna be about probably about $15,000 per bridge, and there's one up top and one on bottom. So
Okay.
it's probably $12,000 to $15,000 per bridge, and there's 2 of them.
Okay.
That's a big
Wow.
piece. And Stevie did his research, and
Yeah, he did.
and he came to me with, like, when I'm talking
He
about.
showed me a quote that was like 16,000 to get it all done or something. Did that
Yeah.
come from you?
No, he went to a couple different oral surgeons.
Then they were like really gonna.
And they were trying to do the bare minimum, which is like
Right.
something called an overdenture. An overdenture is when you have
Oh.
like 4 implants. You can do an overdenture on less implants, and it snaps in like a button on your shirt.
Right,
And you can
okay.
take it in and out. We won't screw in, and it's still made of like denture material, so like plastic, like
Right.
acrylic.
Okay.
Zirconia is a very nice ceramic that is when glazed looks very realistic.
Huh.
It's like those paintings that look like real photographs. It's like it's
Right.
like that kind of quality.
Okay.
So Stevie had done his research, and I treated him like I treat any other of my patients, and I give him all the options. I say, this is what we can do.
And he picked he picked the Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Of
I had a patient one time we did this for, the very first person we did this for. I'll never forget what she told me, because she kind of chose some high-end stuff too. She chose a shade of white that I have never, ever put in someone's mouth.
because it was too bright.
So white.
Just so
and I
nice.
tried to talk with her about, like, are you sure you want to do this? Because this is like really white. And she told me, she's like, if I was going to get breast implants, I'm going to get like triple D's. So I'm getting my teeth. I've had crap teeth my entire life. I want to blind people when they see my teeth. And I was like, can't argue with that.
That's so funny.
You get what you want. And you know, that's part of what I love doing. That's kind of the excitement, is like giving someone everything that they want.
Sure.
And because it's all just, you know, it's all like a community involvement of getting people together to like say, hey, this is what we're doing. And I think it just requires like one person to start the ball rolling. I'm doing this.
Right.
So can you do this?
So now, those are we've covered all of the components outside of your personal it's the labor,
My time.
your
Yeah,
labor.
Sure.
And those are all the pieces.
Yeah.
And now, of course, you're willing to donate donate your time, your work.
Mm-hmm.
And you reached out to all of these different people,
Yeah.
said, hey, this is what I'm doing. Would you be a part of it? And they all said, absolutely, we love it.
I'm kind of shocked that I've never gotten any kind of real resistance.
It's different when it's somebody in the industry. I think,
yeah, exactly
you know.
right. And Stevie shares all these things where he went on like these Reddit threads, and people were like, he said, some dentist said, you're never going to find what you're looking for. You should just get dentures and some therapy, and that's it. And that's it. And that's it. And that's it.